All right, it is Sunday, May 24th, 2020, and that means that we're at the beginning of week 3 of my meat bird project for this year, and a lot of things have been happening, so I want to give you an update. My birds are now at the beginning of their 4th week of life, but here's the first big update in this brooder is that my 47 meat birds actually turned into 14 egg pullets. So these are not the same birds as I've been showing in the other videos, but basically what happened this week is everything grew and everything needed to be upsized in brooders. So I have a big plastic tote brooder that I keep in my basement and I started these little birds in there because I only had 14 of them, and I started my 47 birds, meat birds in this big brooder, but everything grew, so the meat birds went outside into their shed and the egg pullets came into here. So that's kind of what's going on in here. Only other thing of interest is just kind of take a look at their sizes right now, because they grow very differently than meat birds. So that's another good reason to show them to you. And these birds have only been in this brooder for 2 days, and I'm trying to switch them over to red nipple waterers, and I see a lot of questions and concerns about will they learn how to use these, and in my experience even very young chicks have, but I want to show you what I do to make sure that they do, because they've only been in here for 2 days, at least once or twice a day for the first couple days until I'm sure they're using it. I'll take my little red chick water, I think everybody knows and hates these, and I will offer it to them. And the reason being, if they all start drinking like they've never seen water before, we know that they haven't learned. So this is just a test I do, and they're kind of showing interest, but if you look, these birds aren't like dehydrated right now. So they'll always peck at it because they're chickens, but that's just a test I do, and I think that a lot of people should try to do that too, because you might feel more comfortable with that. Other than that, the crazy thing that happened in this barn this week is I had an invasion of bees. And you can chalk this up to, didn't see this one coming, but I have some old beehive frames up here that have honey hanging in the barn. And here's what happened is I left my big barn doors open, and during the day, a bunch of the bees from the beehive outside sensed the honey and came in to rob the honey, and I came in here and there were thousands of bees in here. And that's, you know, kind of a bummer for a lot of reasons, but I was really concerned about the birds in here, even though they have a pretty tight weave top. It didn't look like the bees were getting into the brooder because I have a 1/4 inch top, but look, I just, you know, you can see evidence of how many bees I had in here. Unfortunately, I did lose some of these honeybees, but what I ended up doing is I left the doors wide open until the evening time, and once night fell, all the bees went back home because they know how to get back home, and most of them found their way out of the barn, and so that was good, and that's how I got rid of them. But that was kind of an interesting thing. Chalk that up to didn't see that one coming. But let's come on out here and check out the meat birds. And it was a very cold night. It's kind of wacky weather. We've seen 80-degree weather, but it was actually in like high 30s last night. So I came out and I stuck another bulb on these guys because I was worried that they'd be cold. So hopefully they're not freezing and piling on each other in here. They don't look too cold. They look like they like lamps, so that was probably a good choice last night. Let's go see in here. All right, and here's the meat birds. And so, as you can see, I've been only put a single bulb in to start with, but then I just got worried that it was too cold last night. I think it's actually a really good choice. I think they still needed it. But as you can see, this is 3 weeks. These white birds are getting enormous. They grow by the day. It's just wild. And these other birds are in here. They're all transferred over to the red nipple waterers, and the feed consumption's going up, and they're growing fast. We're in the thick of this, so I think in another week to 10 days, I'm gonna put the run out and start letting them have outside time because they'll be fully matured, and this is just what it's all about. The daily routine here is about 2 to 3 gallons of water input and at least a half bucket of feed. And then you have to freshen their shavings every day, because the biggest thing about chickens, especially when you're running large numbers of chickens at higher densities, is that every drop of water that they consume gets released in the form of feces. and in respiration. So if you're not removing that moisture by shoveling wet bedding or freshening your bedding, you're going to start to have hygiene issues with your birds. So it's really about moisture control, and just the thing about meat birds is keep them clean, keep them watered, keep them well ventilated. Don't let them grow so fast. So I do hang the feeders at night so they don't eat through the night. But other than that, that's what we're doing right now. This is the end of, all right, it's the end of, start of week 3, and these birds are about 4 weeks old.